Let's talk about the project management process. As I discussed above, there are 5 project management processes. Let's start with the first one, which is project conception and initiation. So over here, first of all, you come up with the idea. What exactly is your project? What you have to do, and you prepare a project charter and initiate a project. So all kind of legal formalities, what you have to do, maybe starting from somebody start from request for proposal and getting the budget approved and figuring out what could be the timelines and dates and delivery and agreements with the customer and figuring out finalizing the deliverables. There are so many things which can be considered as a part of conception and initialization, but this is mainly for the higher management, and it is mostly confined to the budgeting and the rules and setting out the expectation, and uh, just to make sure that both the parties, client and the business side and the technical side, or the person who is going to actually execute it and the business what they have requested, both of things they are in line, and both the people are on the client and the service provider, they both are on the same page, they both are knowing the things equally and they are at par. So this is the first page. After that, we have definition and planning. Here, detailing of scope and budget is being done. Different processes or different activities that would be performed, they are planned. Work breakdown with schedule, and then many of them they prepare a Gantt chart, they prepare a communication plan, and risk management plan has to be prepared as a part of definition and planning. And depending on all this work, schedule, communication, and risk, uh, proper budget has to be allocated, budget for each of these in a small programs and everything, all those activities and how much resource they will be taking, what could be the risk and how much money is required. Everything is figured out under this process. The third process is project launch execution. This is the one which is mostly done by the technical team. Over here, you already know what are the different kind of deliverables for you. Either if you're into agile or if you're into natural the traditional way of project implementation, waterfall or something. So you break down the bigger requirements into a smaller one, and then you start executing them, you start developing them, you develop the key performance indicators, and then you focus on the quality and you decide the forecast, okay, which way your project is going, what is the pace, velocity. You keep on tracking and checking out the status. So this is done on daily, weekly, and fortnightly or monthly basis, depending upon the project length and delivery time. And then comes the performance and control thing. Over here, while execution is taking place, these things they work in parallel or just close to the launch thing, the execution thing, wherein the objective they are cross-verified time to time and checked. If at all there is any change in the objective, it is reflected in the execution. If not, then all the deliverables, what quality deliverables, what are received, they are verified against the objective expected versus actual, it is matching or not. Effort and cost tracking, we are not, there shouldn't be over budgeting or the cost should not cross the expected one. So planning should be done in a proper way. And then performance, how exactly it is performing, maybe in terms of man, material, technology, or the output, everything performance has to be verified. And lastly, the project closure takes place, wherein a postmortem is being done for what was missed and what was done good and what was done bad. How can the bad things be improved? Product punch list is created and reporting, final reporting that okay, within the timeline everything could be completed. If at all there were any deficiencies or any kind of mistakes being done, how can it be improvised in the upcoming version? Were there any kind of learnings, anything which can be improved or something which can be taken from one project or product and can be applied into somewhere else, something like that. All those things are taken care in this part, and final report is prepared and it's shared with the management and the client, and it is used for future. Now, what are the different activities of project management? So when I say project management, you have so many different activities involved in it. Let's go through these activities one by one briefly. The first is communication. You need to have a very clear communication, may it be upward or downward. When I say upward to the higher management and to the clients, yes, you need to be very much clear on that. You cannot miss on any part of communication. For example, let's say the deadlines, if there is any change in requirement, deadlines also need to be changed, right? If deadlines are not meant to be changed, then you have to increase the number of your resources, or you have to increase the number of working people, and hence your budget will increase. And if your budget is increasing, you need to revise your planning as well. So just because of communication, the other things are also getting impacted, right? So communication is very important. Same way when you, for example, your team is growing, and then you figure out that okay, you have to communicate everybody, and then you cannot figure out the way to communicate everybody. Then you need to communicate with the leads. Lead in turn will communicate with their juniors or the other colleagues, and in this way, everybody will be on the same page, right? Communication is one of the very important activity. Then is teamwork. Yes, project can be successfully managed and executed only if your team is supporting it. If not, then you have to come up with something so that your team should get involved and everybody should give the 100%, so that there is optimum utilization of resources and minimum risk, and you can come up with the great successful projects. The other one is analysis. Analysis, yes, at every point of time you have to do the analysis. With even a slightest change in any of the components of the project, the other components may get impacted. So you always have to keep a track and analyze the impact. And then budget. Budget is one of the most important thing. What, like all of us, most of the people who work and you get salary, your salary something is totally depending upon the budget, right? The company or the client, what kind of budget he is approving, so how many resources you can put and how much profit you can make for your organization. So this is what is totally dependent upon the budget thing. Planning, depending on the budget what you get, you have to plan everything. You have to plan your risk, you have to plan your goals, you have to plan your deadline schedules, you have to plan your team activity, you have to plan deliverables, you have to plan everything, you have to plan your control. There's so many things, and everything requires a planning. You have to come up with a plan for every one of those. And then problem solving. Project management is not a cakewalk thing. There's so many components, so many dynamic components involved. So every stage of time you'll be having some or the other problem or issues coming up, and you have to solve it, right? So you have to have a problem solving skill. You have to use it in order to successfully complete your project. For example, it can be any HR related issue, it can be any technical issue, it can be budget related problem, it can be something related to the team members, or it can be something related to the client. So there could be so many problems, and each time you have a problem, you have to solve it, and that's a part of your project management role. Okay. Then you have to create milestones. Yes, you have to set milestones. You cannot say you start a project and after 6 months you complete it. No, that way it doesn't work. You have to come up with the milestone. Let's say you can come up with a milestone fortnightly or a monthly milestone. So you have 6 milestones, and these milestones help you to check where exactly you are and how much is left and how much is pending and how much has been done, something like that. Like when you're in journey, project management is a kind of journey. So when you start from zero. When you end at 100. So whenever you're planning for a road trip, you go from one place to another. Till the time you reach your destination, you keep on seeing a milestone, and milestone tell you, okay, you have completed this much of distance and this much distance is pending. Same way in project management, when you start a project and when you end a project, you need certain milestone which should tell you where have you started and how much you are far from your goal and from ending the project. Now, when you have a budget, you have plan, you have milestones, you have deliverables, you have a good team. Next, the important thing which you should have control. I'll discuss control more after risk. So risk comes first with everything. Whenever we talk about budget, team, clients, services, or external vendors, internal vendors, may it be any kind of technology, or may it be kind of budget or scheduling, timelines, or client expectation. There's so many things in which each of these there is a risk involved. So if at all, let's say anybody in your team is leaving a job, or for example, there was a strike, something goes wrong, and there was a strike in the city, or the whole city was, there was a catastrophe or some kind of incident taking place, and everything was lost for 1 or 2 days. There was an incident in the town, there was a riot in town, and all the offices were closed. Or maybe let's say there's your team members, one of your team members, he has left the job, and with him two other people, he was a lead, and they were, since he is demotivated, his team, which is again 4 or 5 people working with him or under him, the lead himself has left the job, and 5 people under him, they are now with no lead, and they are also demotivated. So whole day it is impacting the overall impact of your work. So there are so many things which can be impacted, right? Maybe because there was a certain emergency project and the whole of the funding was to be given to those, and then there couldn't be funding for your project, so you have to go dry, and for a week to or for a month without any funding you have to work. So what is your bandwidth, how much you can do, how much cushioning padding you have? Let's say there was a certain requirement, client is in urgent need and he needs something on a fast basis, and then instead of the prior decided deadline, they want to go 1 month earlier because government norms change. So now you have to get everything which you have planned for 6 months, the same has to be done within 5 months. So this is again a scheduling risk. So there are different kind of risk, and every time you have a risk, you have to plan it and control it. Yes, you have to control all your activities, you have to control all your risk, you have to manage all your resources, you have to manage all your risk, and you have to plan and act accordingly so that you should achieve your goals within desired timeline. These are the most important activities that the project manager has to do. You cannot miss upon your goal. And when I say goal, you have different. You have your personal goals that, okay, I want to achieve this project within 80% of what has been allocated to me, and I want to show that I have saved 20% to my company, even though my company is giving me, let's say, $1 million to get a project done, and if I can get it done in point 0.8 or $0.9 million, then I'm saying $0.1 million for my company. So that's a kind of personal achievement which I can show them. Or else, let's say there's a goal, a company wants you to have a goal that we are doing it, but we want to come up with something which should be a value addition. So we want to complete it within 5 months, and 1 month would be a post-production support that would be free, and then we want to showcase this to our client that we're giving them a value add. So there are certain kind of goals, and then deadlines are very important. Unless you have deadlines, you can't have so milestones, planning, and deadlines, they go hand in hand. And depending on this, you figure out whether you are in risk or you're not in risk. If you are in risk, again, you do some analysis, and then you do some planning, use your problem solving skills, and try to control the risk and go ahead and come up with a new solution. These are the main activities of a project manager. Thank you guys. Thank you for watching my video. Please don't forget to subscribe, share, and like.